friends, it's Mrs. Murphy and it's time for reading. Today, we're going to go back and reread PB&J Hooray! Before we do, we're going to talk about some power words to help you understand the story better. Then, we're going to talk about how you can identify the most important details in this book. But first, let's start with the power words. Power word is crop. Say it with me, crop. A crop is a plant that farmers grow to feed people. One crop that many farmers grow is corn. Our next word is factory. Say it with me, factory. A factory is a place where things are made. This machine fills containers with orange juice in this factory. Our last word is ingredient. Say it with me, ingredient. An ingredient is a food you use to make other foods. One ingredient we always put in our salad is tomatoes. All right, now let's talk about why we're rereading the story today. We already know the main idea of the story. This story is about PB&J, a food that comes from a long way in lots of different places before it ends up in our mouth. But it can be a little bit harder to identify those important details that make up this story. Sometimes authors will include additional or extra information to make a text more interesting or fun. So when we read, we need to think, what are the most important details that we need to know? These details can lay on a spectrum. The red side of this spectrum is the details that are less important. As we move to the middle, we get to interesting details that, though they're interesting, they're still not important to the main idea. Finally, the green side of our spectrum shows the most important. So today as we're reading, I want you to help me figure out which details are most important. Easy to make, yummy to eat, but where does the food come from? The grocery store. Bread in the bread aisle, peanut butter stacked on shelves, jars of jelly lined up in a row, put in a shopping cart, pay on the way out. Carry into kitchens where sandwiches are made. PB&J, hooray! But where does the grocery store get the food? If we want to know where food comes from to make PB&J, which detail on this page is the most important? The grocery store is the most important detail because it tells us where the food comes from. Delivery trucks. Truck drivers pull up to the loading dock at the grocery store. Bread in the bread aisle, peanut butter stacked on shelves, jars of jelly lined up in a row, put in a shopping cart, pay on the way out. Carry into kitchens where sandwiches are made, PB&J, hooray! But where did the delivery trucks get the food? Bakeries and factories. Bread is baked in bakeries. Flour, yeast, eggs. Knead, rise, bake. Why does the text say flour, yeast, eggs? These are the ingredients for making bread. Why does it say knead, rise, bake? Those are the steps for making bread. Knead the dough, let it rise, and then bake it in the oven. Peanut butter is made in a peanut butter making factory. Shell the peanuts, roast then grind, some for crunch, more for smooth. Jelly is made in jelly making factories. Concord grapes fresh off the vine, cook, strain, pour, seal with a lid on top. If we want to know where delivery trucks get peanut butter, which detail is most important on this page? The part where it says peanut butter is made in a peanut butter making factory is most important because it tells us where peanut butter comes from. Truck drivers pick up at bakeries and factories, then pull up to the loading dock at the grocery store. Bread in the bread aisle, peanut butter stacked on shelves, jars of jelly lined up in a row, put in a shopping cart, pay on the way out. Carry into kitchens where sandwiches are made, PB&J, hooray! But where do the bakeries and factories get the ingredients to make the food? Farmers' fields. Flour comes from stalks of wheat that grow in long, straight rows. Peanuts grow in soil, grapes grow on vines, sunshine, rain, harvest time. Deliver crops to bakeries that bake and factories that make. Truck drivers pick up at bakeries and factories, then pull up to the loading dock at the grocery store. Bread in the bread aisle, peanut butter stacked on shelves, jars of jelly lined up in a row, put in a shopping cart, pay on the way out. Carry into kitchens where sandwiches are made. PB&J, hooray! But what do farmers need to get their crops to grow? Seeds. Farmers plant seeds in soil so wheat, peanuts, and bunches of grapes will grow. So where do bread, peanut butter, and jelly come from? What does the food in a PB&J sandwich start as? The food starts as seeds. Seeds are planted, crops grow, bakeries bake, factories make. Truck drivers pull up at bakeries and factories, then pull up to the loading dock at the grocery store. Bread in the bread aisle, peanut butter on shelves, jars of jelly lined up in a row, put in a shopping cart, pay on the way out. Carry into kitchens where sandwiches are made, peanut butter, jelly, bread. It's finally time to say, PB&J, hooray! Now that you know how to identify what's most important, can you identify 3 important details from the story? Those details should include places where the food came from. Thanks for reading with me, friends. I'll see you next time. If you like this story, don't forget to like and subscribe.